Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi Maseches CHULLIN Daf Kaf Lamed. We begin a brand new Perek Hazroya V'Lachayayim, a little bit of a shift over to other topics other than Chelev and Tumah and Hilchas Shchita and Hilchas Treifos. So there's a mitzvah for any person who does Shchita on his personal animal. So every behemah has this mitzvah called Zroya L'Chayayim V'Keva. So you shecht a behemah, private behemah, at home. You're meant to give a gift, grant a portion of that animal to the kohen. Zroya, which is the forearm, the foreleg, the two upper sections of that leg. L'Chayayim is the lower jaw with the tongue as well. V'Keva, oh, we know about the keva, our good friend, that's one of the stomachs, right, of the animal. So these three are called matanos. In this perek, in the context of this perek, we're going to refer to this threesome gift, right, the three-part gift as matanos. Hazroya, v'lachayayim, v'keva. So this obligation to separate a part of the animal and give it to the kohen. So just like by produce, we have the truma and the maser, we tithe and we give to the kohen, to the Levi. By an animal as well, you're meant to give a portion to the kohen. And it's an international mitzvah for all time. Hazroya, v'alchayim, v'keva, nehagen ba'aretz. It applies in Eretz Yisrael, b'chutz la'aretz, and outside Eretz Yisrael, b'fnei habayis, while the Mikdash was standing, yishalei b'fnei habayis, or even after destruction. But b'chulin, it's specific to a privately owned animal. Avalei b'mikdashin doesn't apply to karbanos, because by karbanos, it's a different system. For instance, a shlamim, right? You give a part to a kohen, but you give a different section. You give chazav v'shoik, the chest area, the hind leg, the shoik, not zroya l'chayayim v'keva. Because in reality, shoya b'din, you can argue that logically, you should apply this obligation to karbonis as well. Look, umay machulin, because even if a regular chulin animal she'enon chayavim b'chazav v'shoik, which has no obligation of chazav v'shoik, that's unique to karbonis. So despite not having that obligation, it still has the obligation of matanos, chayavim b'matanos, which again is a reference to Zroya l'chayayim v'keva. Certainly karbonis, like a shlamim, ka'achim shechayavim b'chazav v'shoik, the carbon which is obligated in chazav v'shoik, certainly would you agree that matanos would apply as well? And it didn't. Wouldn't it be logical to say shechayavim matanos, that matanos would apply as well? Talmud Leimar, of a pasuk by the shlamim, which specifies that only chazav v'shoik applies to karbanis and not matanos. Talmud Leimar v'etein oisam. Only these are given la'aron hakohen levanav chlakolam. We learn ein lo yela mashamar be'inin only has rights to these sections discussed over there, which is chazav v'shoik and not matanos. Okay, so kachim have chazav v'shoik. Ordinary animals have zroya l'chayayim v'keva. Continues the Mishnah. This is actually a Mishnah which is discussed also in Maseches Bechoros, pretty much a repetition, except as Rashi says over there, it was referenced because of the Bechor element which was in this discussion, and over here by in our Mishnah we bring it because of the reference to matanes, which is the subject of our discussion. So you can have a carbon which experienced a mum, which disables it from hakrava, but there are two possibilities. In the first case, you can have something which is a non-starter, an animal which is blemished to begin with, missing a leg. In that case, even if you designate it as hagdish, it never really reaches a high level of kedusha. It doesn't become inherently bodily kaddish, so to speak, as an animal entity. It's just value-based kedusha, like an item that belongs to, right? Whereas if it was already designated and then it was already a korban and then it got a mum, that is called pesulei hamikdashim, disqualified karbanis, which runs its own track, has its own rules, and even though it's blemished, and even after you redeem it, it still retains some elements of Kedusha, some remnants of the original intense Kedusha that it had. And it limits our involvement and what we can do with this redeemed animal. Okay, so Kol HaKadoshim, we're going to have a contrasting equation. Kol HaKadoshim shekadam mum kavua. Any carbon where the mum kavua, a permanent, serious blemish, preceded its designation, its labeling as a carbon lactation, in which case it's only going to become monetarily kaddish, not inherently kaddish. Viniftu. And then it was redeemed. It's like any other animal. Because it was only monetarily kaddish to begin with. It was only kedusha value based. Once you redeemed it, you transfer that value kedusha to the exchange, the money. So now this animal is like any other. Chayavim b'bchera, if it gives birth, if firstborn is kaddish, v'matanos. You shecht it, you have to give the matanos to the kohen, it's in the CHULLIN. And it leaves its hegdish status, it's regarded like any other animal with respect to sending it to the farm. The gazes to get sheared, its wool gets sheared, the ovid to go work with it, no problem. Vladan, its offspring, as Rashi points out, even if it started carrying that offspring before redemption, and it gave birth after redemption, v'chalavan, or its milk, which you milked after redemption, mutter. Go for it, no problem. Lacha pedyon, after it was redeemed. V'ashechtem b'chutz pater. And next three items, this and the following two, will refer to even before it was redeemed. So even pre-redemption, someone takes this carbon and shechtzat outside the Mikdash, pater is exempt because it's not a true carbon material. Ve'nos in Tmura. And if he attempts to make a swap, to transfer the Kedusha from this on some, it doesn't work. There's no Tmura concept. Because, once again, it's not really carbon material. Rashi brings the Gemara. It's Rami Ikarai. It was inherently, it was initially off the track. It wasn't really suitable. So it doesn't have the ability to generate that Tmura. V'mesu yipadu. And if it dies before redemption, you can just redeem it. And Rashi points out, even though it's not suitable for anything other than feeding it to the dogs, that's okay. Typically by a carbon you don't do that. But this is not really carbon material. Also, there's no need to make hamada v'haracha. You don't have to have it stand and stand up and assess it. All those halachas don't apply. So this applies to all types of karbanos who experienced a serious mum before being designated as a carbon. So it never really got off the ground properly. It was only value-based kedusha, which is a very limited kedusha. And after it's redeemed, back to square one. It's like never was kaddish. And even before redemption, its severe deficiency precludes all kinds of halachas, of chiyuv, of shchita b'chutz, tmura, etc. This applies to all karbanos except, there's one exception, two exceptions. Chutz min ha-b'chor, except if it's a firstborn. In that case, even if it's blemished, Torah says firstborn is kosher. Firstborn is kaddish. So even if it has a mum, it's born with a mum, it still has a kedusha b'chor. In that case, it's treated like the next class of animals we'll see soon, next class of karbanos, who are considered inherently kaddish and have a more strict redemption process. Ubin master, likewise maser behemo, right, the 10th animal, which is maser behemo. There as well we have a pasuk which applies full-fledged kedusha, even if it's blemished. You can't bring it as a carbon, but you have to treat it with utmost respect, as per the next clause of the Mishnah, which is like this. So in contrast to the previous story where the mum preceded the hegdish designation, in which case it never got started, never got off the ground properly, in the following scenario, there was kedusha designation prior to becoming a mum. So it was already labeled as a full-fledged carbon, and then it got disqualified. What happens here? Says the Mishnah, but if the hegdish status precedes the arrival of the blemish, or a mum aiver kamilagdation, or there was a passing mum, which doesn't fully disqualify the animal, and that happened before it was designated as a carbon. So that mum is just disregarded. It's not a permanent mum. In which case, the animal now attains a high level of kedusha, a very intense kedusha called kedushas haguf. It's inherently kadosh as a carbon, and then mishap occurs. Then mum kavua, a permanent disabling blemish, arrives on the scene. Beniftu, now you redeemed it. In this case, since it already attained that kedushas haguf, it will never lose it entirely. In fact, it will be exempt from b'chayra. So if there's a firstborn now from this animal, there's no kedushas b'chayra. Rashi explains because the pasuk, in reference to this type of scenario, which we call pesuli hamikdash, and compares it to a tzvi and an ayil. You can eat it like a tzvi and ayil. These are chayos. Tzvi and ayil are chayos, are not really roy for hakrav. The fact that Torah equates it to tzvi and ayil tells you that just like a tzvi ayil is exempt from b'chayr, there's no kedushas b'chayr by firstborn tzvi and ayil. B'chayr is limited to behemoths, not to chay. Uben amatonis, likewise, lo matonis, which is roivel chayim mekeva. If you shech this redeemed psuli hamikdashim, and once again because of that comparison to tzvi ayil, which don't have matonis, because matonis are unique to behemoths and those are chayos. You can't send them out, to the farm. They don't really attain full chulin status. They don't fully lose their kedusha with respect to shearing them and working with them. Even after redemption, you can't drink the milk. The pasuk says you can have it for its flesh, for its basar, but you can't have milk of this psuli hamikdashim and also of vladin, the offspring. And we're speaking that it started carrying its offspring before it was redeemed, then it gave birth after redemption. That offspring is offspring. Now, we backtrack a second. We go back to pre-pidyon. So again, it's an animal that was designated as a carbon. It got kedushas haguf, then it got severely blemished, and it's still pre-redemption. If one shechts it outside the mikdash, he's chayav. So you'll ask the obvious, why is it chayav? Shechita b'chutz typically is limited to something which can theoretically work in the mikdash. Instead of taking it out, that's the problem. Here it's blemished. The answer is, Rashi says, we're speaking about a very slight blemish, a barely visible blemish, something in the eye, which according to Rekiva, im alo lo yerdu, theoretically if it will be put on the mizbeach, you leave it there. So it has some potential for hakrav, and therefore if it's done outside is chayiv kares. Voice in tmura, in its pre-redemption state, tmura would be effective. But if it dies at this point, you can't just redeem it and send it to the dogs, because this is a true carbon. There's a halacha, Rashi says, you can't redeem kaddish material and feed it to the dogs. Or according to another pshat, it needs hamad of aracha, you have to have it stand and be assessed, which you can't after death. Okay, so we started the Mishnah that zroya, l'chayim and keva gift applies only to chulin and not to karbanis, because it says oisam, referring to chazav v'shaik only. We don't apply matanis to karbanis. Taima de kosherach, says the Gemara. That's only because we have this pasuk. Without this pasuk, I would think that Havamina would say kachim chayav matanis. Matanis applies to karbanis as well, based on that kal v'chomer, right? Because if chulin, which doesn't have chazav v'shaik, has matanis, certainly kachim, which has a chazav v'shaik, will have matanis. You can challenge and refute that kal v'chomer. How could you compare to chulin? Chulin has an advantage. Mal chulin shekin chayavim b'v'chayra, because if a chulin animal gives birth, that firstborn is kaddish b'v'chayra, which doesn't apply by a carbon who gave birth. So perhaps chulin, because of that advantage, has matanis as well. Oh, taisim is charim. Okay, we'll base it on a male chulin, which can't give birth. So this factor doesn't exist. Well, malas charim shekin chayavim b'reish sagez. Even a male chulin has an advantage over karbanis, because there's a mitzvah reish sagez. The first shearings go to the kohen, which is unique to chulin. Mityashim will learn from goats, which don't have the din of Reish Gaze, which is limited to sheep. Well, Malat Yashim Shkei Nechnasan Dirulis Aser, even goats, if they're chulin, they have an advantage over karbanis because they can enter the pen and be counted for Maser Behema, right? Maser Behema applies only to chulin. Miskein, and we'll learn from chulin which are older, last year's crop, which are no longer available for Maser Behema because you do it only on this year's, Malas Kenim Shkein Nichnasul Dirlis Aser. Okay, but even the older ones, they already experienced Maser Behema, although they're not eligible today, but they did experience that experience, so they have an advantage over karbanis, which never do. We'll learn from the chulin, which is exempt from Maser Behema. Which type of chulin is exempt? Lukuach. An animal that you purchase. There's no Maser Behema there. V'yasam, or his animal, his mother died upon birth. So these were exempt from Maser Behema. Well, Lukuach v'yasam, it's true that they personally are exempt, but they're a type of animals. Right? The other sheep, the other goats, are eligible for Maser Behema. Shekei nichnasen b'minan, in their type. They will enter Ladir Lis Aser, as opposed to karbanets which don't have Maser Behema. Well, if you're working with type, b'minan ka'amris, you're working with type, kachim name b'minan nichnasen Ladir Lis Aser. Well, for the same money, a kachim sheep, it's true, he personally can't have Maser Behema done to him, but his type will have. His fellow sheep, the non-karbanais sheep, the chulin sheep, which are the same type, will have Maser Behema done. So basically, there's no difference between chulin and kachim anymore, if we're looking at just type, right? Because if you're looking at this specific animal, then the lukuach v'yasam has no Maser Behema, nor does the karbanis. If you're looking at type, so they're all back in the same boat. All types of sheep, right? In the type of sheep, you have Maser Behema. So there's no difference between, if you're looking at the chulin animal or the karban animal, you're not looking at them personally, looking at the type. So the type has Maser Behema, so there's no difference. So that takes us back to our Kal V'chomer in the Mishnah. So reestablishes our Kal V'chomer. If a chulin animal which has no chazav v'shaik has matanis, certainly karbanis which have chazav v'shaik will have matanis, comes the pasuk v'etin oisam to exempt. Okay, now let's go the other way. Chazav v'shaik is limited to karbanis. It doesn't apply to chulin. Maybe it should, based on a Kal V'chomer. Says the Gemara, you chulin, perhaps ordinary animals, should be obligated chayavin b'chazav v'shaik based on a Kal V'chomer from karbanis. Kal V'chomer ma kach. Since by karbanis she'ein chayavin b'matanis, which are exempt from matanis, as we just established. Nevertheless, chayavim b'chazav v'shaik, or obligated b'chazav v'shaik, certainly a chulin animal, shechayav matanis, where matanis applies, and it didn't, wouldn't you agree, shechayavim b'chazav v'shaik, chazav v'shaik should apply too, a makra. Comes the pasuk by matanis and says, Zeh, yeh mishpat ha'kayhanim. Only this, only zroya, l'chayim v'keva apply to chulin. Zeh in, only this gift, but not the other gift. Midi achrin, other gifts not. Okay? Says the Gemara, why do we need a pasuk to exempt chulin from chazav v'shaik? The pasuk says that you meant to waive the chazav v'shaik to a tenufa. Ella time in the chazav rachmana zeh. That only works because zeh exempts it. If not for the pasuk zeh havamina, I would suggest chulin chayav b'chazav v'shaik. Even a regular carb a regular animal needs chazav v'shaik given to the kohen. You can't just give it. V'avoy tenufa. The pasuk says you do tenufa l'fnei Hashem. And how are you going to do that? Hey chilin afina, where are you going to waive it? Outside the Mikdash. L'fnei Hashem ksiv, the pasuk says l'fnei Hashem in the Mikdash. Return to base. Okay, so maybe do it inside. You do it inside. You can't. Only karbanis belong in the Beis Hamikdash. You can't bring in mundane material, right? A pasuk, you can't just bring. Right, just like you can't do a shchita on chulin the azara. You're not meant to bring regular chulin material to azara either. So really, it's not feasible. You can't suggest that chulin will be obligated to chazav v'shaik if it's not a feasible option. So now back to the question, so why do we need zeh to exempt it from chazav v'shaik, which is not practical anyway? For a different halach, look at Rav Chisda. Here comes Rav Chisda with a great Novel chiddush. Hamazik matanos kuna. If a person destroys the matanos, which again refers to the Ezraya, the Chayayim, the Keva, Oyisha Achlan, or he ate them. Okay, it's not around. Does he have to pay up? Poter b'l'shalom, he's exempt from compensating. Well, I'll see in a minute why. Gufa. Okay, let's review this halacha. So basically, that's what the pasuk is coming for, right? So Zeh says, look, while they're around, you have this raya, give it. But if it's not around, it was destroyed, it was eaten, you're exempt. Gufa, let's review the halacha of Chizda. Hamazik matanis kuna shachlan patum l'shalim. The question is why? My time. Two answers. Either because of Zeh. Explains Rashi on the third line. The mashma ba'oidan kayama is chayav litan. If they're around, you have to give it. Aval eidan kayamas. If they don't exist, lo yichiv akasav ben tashlum. There's no concept of repaying for lost matana. That's one pshat. Ibai Yisema says the more another pshat. It's a chayshim mishpat concept. There's no claimant on this money. Mishum dahavalei mamish ein lo yitoivim. True, you meant to give it to the kohen, but in reality, there's no person out there who can say, well, give me the matanas kuna. You? No, I'm giving it to the other kohen. Other kohen, I'm giving it to the third kohen. It's a never-ending proposition. So there is no teveya. Rashi says on the fourth line, shein lo yitoivim, ein lo yibalim. There's no owner on the matanas. Who can chase him to Bezdin and present a claim against this butcher, because he can say, look, I'm not giving it to you, I'm giving it to your friend. I'm not giving it to you, I'm giving it to the next coin. So by the definition, this money is unclaimable money. And that explains why if it's destroyed, there's no obligation to repay. Who are you paying it to? There's nobody out there who has a claim on it. Interesting. Says the Gemara Meisveh, here comes a kasha. This is going to trigger a list, an avalanche of kashas. 7 in total on this concept of Rav Chizda that the second shot he said it's a mamash ein toivim. There's nobody that has the right to collect it. Meisveh, here comes a kasha. This is the pasuk by Matanis. V'zeh yeh mishpat. HaKohanim. This is the mishpat of Kohanim. Why mishpat? Mishpat sounds like a scary, some sort of court case. Malamed, we learn Matanas din. Yeah, Matanas are din. Now, what does that mean? Din. Lamai hilchasa, pertaining to what? Regarding what is it called a din? Apparently, that the Kohen has a right. Rashi says the dayanim, the judges will submit themselves to this claim. Force him to pay it up. Now, to which kohen? Rashi says an interesting point. Alma, Rashi says, kohen rishon hatoivan mutin miyadeh. The first kohen that comes his way and presents a claim can demand it and collect it. Interesting. So you can't just shove him away and ignore him. First kohen has a right, because if it's not him, it's nobody, right? First kohen has a right to claim it. That's in contradiction to Rav Chizda's concept. There is no claimant. No, it's not what it meant. It meant that the dayanim will provide instructions. It says Rashi, l'cholkim b'dayanim, dayanin oimrim lo Yisrael, l'zetein matanos. The chachamim dayanim have a right to instruct the Yisrael how to allocate, how to distribute, what to direct the matanos. Shu chaver, give it to the chaver, talmud chacham, upstanding fellow. V'altitin lezeh shamaretz. You have to give it to an upstanding kohen, not to a kohen who's unlearned. He doesn't deserve the matanos. It's not meant for him. That's what the brisa means. This is based on a pasuk in Divrei Yamim. He meant to send you matanos to the correct address. How do you know that matana does not go to a kohen ha'aretz, who's not involved in learning Torah? Chizkiah tells the nation, who do you give it to? L'kohanim. HaKohanim alavim leman Yechzeku, Yechezku b'Teres Hashem. It's meant to support learning Torah. We learn Kol HaMachzek b'Teres Hashem. Person who supports, involved in Torah. Yesh lo minas. He has the right. He's entitled to collect the matanis. But somebody who's uninvolved in Torah, Sheni Machzek b'Teres Hashem, ein lo minas. That's all the brisa means. Make sure to send it to the right address. Tashmai comes another kasha on Rav Chisda, who says that it's really unclaimable money. Rabbi would say to Eimer, Mishpat. What do we learn from Mishpat? Malamed, we learn from Matanis din. Matanis is related to din. Okay, what does din mean? We had a theory, we had a pshat. Let's see. Yochel afilu chazav v'sheik. Din, perhaps din applies to chazav v'sheik as well. Tamalem is only this, only Matanis are linked with din. Now, what did he mean when he said din? And that din only applies to matanis and not to chazav v'sheik. Lemay, regarding what? Did he mean in terms of the dayanim, directing him in terms of who to allocate it to? Only to a Talmud Chacham. So why is that limited to matanis? Why wouldn't that apply to chazav v'sheik as well? Meant to give it to the right kohen. Or to chazav v'sheik lav by dayanim mechalku. Chazav v'sheik are not meant to be given to the right recipient, a deserving recipient. You can give it to Ha'aretz? Of course not. Apparently, what the brisa means when it says din is that the kohen has a right to extract it from him, to claim it. And on that, the brisa says you should know this right to collect, to forcibly collect it from the owner, is limited to matanis. Tizroya, l'chayayim v'keva. The kohen could approach him in the bezdin and force him to pay. But when it comes to chazav v'sheik, Rashi says it wouldn't apply there. What's the difference? The kivan del kapara uluritzui ba, says Rashi, since it's coming as an element of kapara, it's part of his korban. Right? Chazav v'sheik is part of the shlamim. So if he's not going to give it, defeats the purpose of what he's trying to do. He's trying to bring a korban. L'shchech l'ma'akav. It's not common for him to hold it back. So there's no halacha that you can force him to pay it. Okay, so back to the Gemara. We've just concluded that the brisa at least seems to say that the kohen has the right to forcibly collect the matanos, unlike Rav Chisda, who says you can't. And you're right, but in this case we're talking about a specific situation, the asal yadi. What happened was that the animal was at what point in the possession of the kohen. So, for instance, the Yisrael owned an animal, and the kohen maybe did the shechita, and it's sitting in his butcher shop, his place. So the full animal is there with the zroya, the chayayim, all sitting in there. And in this case, okay, actually, we'll see that later, the full animal. At this point, the Gemara is simply saying that the matanos were delivered to the kohen. Delivered to the kohen, and then a fellow grabbed it from him. So in this case, since it was delivered, it's already the kohen's. You can't just grab it away from him. Before you gave it to any kohen, you can argue, you can say it's not really. Once you gave it to him, now it belongs to the kohen, it's his thing. So if you took it from him, of course the kohen can come and forcibly retrieve it in through the bezdin. Says the Gemara. Okay, then it's a fairly simple case. It's pretty obvious. If it already was delivered to the kohen, you might remember why even discuss it. The asal yadi of lie. Oh, we're speaking that the kohen had it in his possession when it wasn't yet separated. So, like we said before, he had the full animal, let's say, in which there was the zroya l'chayim v'keva. It wasn't yet separated and designated and given separately. And the chiddush of the brisa is too late, because once the kohen had this material in his possession, he's zoicha, becomes his. Because Savar Haitana, this time holds matanos, even matanos prior to designation, Shaloi Humru, which wasn't yet designated, Kimishu Humru Damin says, oh, they were designated, because it's meant to be separated, it's meant to be designated. So it already has that status. It has that label to it, even before it was separated and designated. In which case, if the kohen took possession of, even of the full animal, in which we have these matanos, he is zoicha, he acquires it. And now, of course, you can't take it away from the kohen once it's his. But otherwise, in a standard case where it never got to the kohen yet, the owner has it, Yisrael has it. The kohen can't. Perhaps the kohen can't just come and forcibly extract it, as per Chisda, who says it's called mamash she'ein lo tovim, unclaimable money. Tashmai comes another kasha on Chisda, who says that these matanos are considered unclaimable materials. Tashma, balabais, we have a wealthy fellow who's on the road. He's in dire straits. He ran out of his money. He's like a poor man. But really, on paper, he has lots of assets. So what's his status regarding taking stock, regarding taking, the leket, the shikha, all the materials that belong to the aniyim? Is he entitled? Tashma, balabais, even makam u'makam. Balabais was traveling from place to place. He's compelled to resort to taking leket, the stalks that were dropped by the farmer, shikha, the bundles that were forgotten, upeyo, the portion they left at the end of the field, the maser ani. Is he allowed to or not? No, I tell you, yep, you can take these. Because the fact is, now he needs it. What happens when he makes it back home? When he gets back home, pulls out his checkbook and he writes a check. CHULLIN. So he has to pay back for what he took. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. What do we see from here? We see that there's somebody that he owes it to. And again, Rashi says he'll have to give it to the first ani that comes his way. So even though it's meant for the general, aniyim at large, that's not called unclaimable money. The first ani can personally extract it from him. And likewise, the Zroy L'chayim V'Kev, which are meant for the Kayhanim, the first kohen has the right to claim it. Says the Gemara, Amalch Rav Chisda can respond on this kasha and answer like this. Midas Chasidus Shanokan. He's not halachically obligated, it's just, righteous thing to pay back. After all, you're a wealthy man, you don't belong taking stock, so it's good to pay back, but not that you're really obligated. Amar Rav, says Rav, how could you say that pshat in the brisa? Look, the Tana of this brisa is Tani Yishalom. He says he has to pay. It's an obligation. You're saying it's just a generous good deed. Furthermore, I have just a general question on this. Why are we even asking from Rabbi Eliezer? The fact is, the Chachamim disagree. You're right, from Rabbi Eliezer it's a good kasha. He says you have to repay, but the Chachamim say he doesn't even have to repay. So if anything, that supports Rav Chisda's concept that it's not really claimable money. Ella, rather, the kasha was like this. Miseifa, actually, the kasha was from the Chachamim, the next part of the brisa. The Chachamim say he's not obligated to pay back. Look, at that point, he was poor. He was on the road. He had no, right? The famous story, right? With Chavetz Chaim. Wealthy man comes in. He says, rickety chairs, shaky table. What's going on? Chavetz Chaim should have a nice furniture. Chavetz Chaim back to him. He says, where's your furniture? He says, I'm on the road. Chavetz Chaim says, I'm also on the road. We're on the road. Journey of life. Okay. He's on the road. He's an ani. He's entitled to take, maser ani. He doesn't have to repay it. Oh. But we're going to make an inference, a diuk. Time of the ani. Only reason why he doesn't have to repay what he took is because he was an ani at that point. On the road, he was an ani. He was really genuinely a wealthy man. He had no right taking maser ani. He has money on him. He's halachically wealthy, and he takes, despite his wealth, Mishalom. In this case, even the Chachamim agree that he's obligated to repay. So the kasha was from the inference in the Chachamim. If he really took as a wealthy man, he has to repay it. Who are you going to repay it to? That's the kasha. Why is he obligated to repay? Lihavi kemazik matanis kuna she'achlan. It's like Rav Chisda's case. Person ate or destroyed matanis kuna. Who's going to claim it from him? Why is he obligated to pay? Rav Chisda. And this Rav Chisda would say, Midas Chasidus Shanukan. Really, it's too late. He took it. There's nobody really that he owes it to. But it is an upstanding, righteous thing to repay it. But again, halachically speaking, in technical terms, there's nobody claiming it. Tashmai comes in another kasha. Suppose a farmer consumed all his produce in its tevel state, mistakenly ate it, not realizing that he hadn't yet, given the truma to the kohen, etc. Or b'chein levi she'achal masrois of tevel mod, a levi who got his maseration from which he's supposed to take a 10th trumas masa to the kohen, he ate it as is. How do we know these fellows are exempt from repaying what they did? The pasuk says to the kohen, be careful to treat the kadashim that the Bnei Yisrael give you with respect. Only once it's designated and given to you. That's when your entitlement begins. You only have a claim on these items once it was designated and separated. Okay, but at that point you do have a claim, you do have ownership, you do have a stake in it. Apparently, once it's been designated, even if it's still in the hands of the owner of the Yisrael, if somebody eats it, he's got to pay back. It belongs to the kohen. And the question is, why? Why is he obligated to repay these trumos that he ate? Like, what was this case? When you damage, when there's no claimant. Here as well. We turn to the next page. We're speaking to Asli Adabit Vlayu. The kohen already took possession when it was in its tevel state. So the Yisrael, entrusted the kohen with this, silo of grain in which we have, the truma and the maser. So once the kohen took possession, because the brises aligned with the shita of because Tana holds matanos leihurmu, even the matanos which haven't yet been designated, they're just there in potential. Kimishu hurmudarmyan, we treat them as though they've already been realized and designated and actualized. So technically, it's like the kohen already took possession of his truma, in which case it's his. And if you eat it, you have to repay it. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow with Hashem. Several more kashas on this Chizda's Yisoid, Chizda's concept, that matanos kahuna are technically ownerless, in which case there really is no claimant that can forcibly extract it from the Yisrael. We started the Perek as Reil Chaim Akeva. These are portions of an animal which are given to a kohen. It only applies to chulin, not to b'kdashim. There would be a kal v'chaymer. To dictate otherwise, we have a pasuk which rules it out and says, by kachim it's limited to chazav v'shaik, and by chulin it's limited to Reil Chaim Akeva. Turns out that for that we don't really need a pasuk because it's not really feasible. Rather, the pasuk is coming to teach us hamazik matanos kol chashachlin is pater, for which we gave two reasons, either the pasuk zeh or because it's mamash ein lo tovim. Okay, all the best to you and atzlach.